sort of examine this, and it really what I think could be almost defined as like a mental health issue in a way. But then again, I'm not here to make fun of anybody. I'm just here to break some stuff down for you so that we can learn a few things. And here's the video. I want to share this on my screen with you guys. It's on my Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. And if you are interested in just sort of random musings of a finance professor, then it's a place you can come hang out and join the conversation. And I like when you guys join actually because it's I like hearing thoughts of intelligent black people. You know, I like to hear different perspectives, especially those who disagree with me. And so, if you disagree with me or if you agree with me, it's totally up to you. Then you're welcome to join us. So let me send out the text really quick to let everybody know that class is starting, and and then we can jump into and I can share this video. All right, and don't forget the convention's happening August 21st to the 23rd. And so if you want to join us in Atlanta, just go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. All right, so let me share this with you and let me know if you can see this and hear this okay. And it's actually it's funny, but it's sad. It's sad because somebody's going to jail. But it's funny because it really reminds you of an episode of the Boondocks. So let me show you this video. This is a trip. All right, so here we go. Let me see if I can play. Like, give me a yes in the chat if you can hear this. Okay, here we go.
We turn now to the rapper arrested after bragging about getting unemployment benefits. He's now charged with scamming the system after applying for more than $1 million in aid. Here's ABC's Megan Tavrezian.
This morning, a rapper who bragged about getting rich from defrauding the government has been arrested, accused of doing exactly that. Fontrell Antonio Baines, who goes by the stage name Nuke Bizzle, is accused of applying for more than $1.2 million in jobless claims intended for those impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. In a YouTube video titled EDD, posted on September 11th, Baines is holding stacks of envelopes from the Unemployment Development Department, bragging about getting rich. Another rapper boasting about going to the bank with a stack of these. Those envelopes, presumably debit cards for those filing for unemployment. You got the name and number, I got the edit. Baines' music video painting a remarkably similar picture to what federal prosecutors argue actually happened. Authorities saying the rapper used stolen identities to apply for jobless benefits.
We turn now.
Okay, all right. So you guys were able to hear that. Okay, let me know if you're able to hear that. Okay. Give me like one word or one sentence to describe um what you just saw on screen. Like just give me like okay, Pamela says stupid, sad, let's see here. Danielle says something about the hairline's giving foreign vibes, so nobody knows. Let's see. Douglas says speechless. Josephine foolish. Keith low self-esteem. Yeah, there's a lot of words you could use to describe what you saw, and I'm gonna be honest with you. It really reminded me. Like I could really see that being an episode of the Boondocks, right? Just everything from his, his name, his stage name, and the name of the song, and the fact that he's rapping about his crime. Like, first off, let me just give you some real practical advice. I'm not one to ever encourage you to ever commit a crime. I would never ever support that. But I'm not here to judge. And look, if you ever do something you don't want nobody to know, don't go make a song about it, please, because the feds they know how to listen to music too. They have ears, and so you know they're gonna if you confess on a song, they're gonna know that you did it. So the part of rule number one of being a good criminal is you don't go tell nobody. That's probably it. Can we agree on that? I hope that that's like some good advice that'll help somebody. Look, 'cause I ain't here to judge you. I understand sometimes we got to make it do what it do. Whatever you do, and I'm not judging you. But Lord Jesus, don't go make a song about it. And also, I would say that if you want to talk to in all seriousness, if you're talking to your kids or your grandkids, you probably want to warn them that you live in a capitalist society where money is a god. They worship money like it's a god. The money has a greater value in a capitalist society than actual human life. Like you can go murder somebody and get less time in prison than you would if you were to steal money from the government. When you steal money from the government, they make an example out of you. They give you 10, 20, 30 years, stuff like that. And I think it's over the top. I think they should let people pay the money back and do 5 years or something. But Lord, I mean, so warn them, let them know, and so in a way, even though I did I ain't gonna lie, the video was just kind, it was just kind of, it was just so Negro typical, like it was just so, and I say Negro typical, meaning that we've so bought into the minstrel show of what it means to be black that that you've seen this before. There's the culture. They call it the culture, and everybody's supposed to be down with the culture. I'm not. I'm not interested in being down with the culture. It's a culture of stupidity. It's a culture of economic devastation. It's a culture that's very anti-black, anti-family, anti-intelligence. Just the other day, Madam President was speaking about Jermaine Dupri, the little short guy who makes songs in Atlanta, and how he spent $10,000 a week at Magic City. And she said that's $10 million of generational wealth that you threw into a stripper thong. Something's wrong with you. Like that's not, who told you that that's even intelligent? There's nothing intelligent about any of that. It's actually embarrassing. It's actually quite embarrassing when people say, well, who are the most prominent black men in America? And then they say, oh, it's the guy who spent $10,000 a week in stripper thongs. Like that's not a good look. That does not help racism. It makes us look like a bunch of buffoons. That's what it does, to be honest with you. Now, with that said, though, let's talk about this, right? So a lot of you may have noticed that rappers they tend to be, generally speaking, very flashy, and all the guys that want to imitate rappers, they get flashy too, right? It's all the Louis and the Gucci and everything else, and in fact, actually, when you ask AI to like draw up an image of a flashy rapper, this is kind of what it is, right? Showing off the money and the jewels and everything else, right? And and that's kind of what you get, right? This becomes the image of the black male all throughout society. There's nothing here that indicates any form of significant wealth. There's nothing here that indicates that this man is going to be a great father and a great husband and a great leader. There's nothing in this image that says either one of these men are mature or have any sort of significant confidence or self-esteem. Like I did a little funny little AI trick, and I said, what this is what I look like? What if this was MC Boyce, right? And then what if I showed up every day looking like this, and I had a ring on every finger and a bunch of gold chains, and I was throwing money in the air and talking about stripper thongs and what the coochie smells like and everything else. What if I was doing that every day? How would you feel? What would that make you think? What would you see if you saw me? Would you see an intelligent finance professor, or would you see a clown? Right? Like, look at that. I'm embarrassed to even show this, but AI's got all of us just acting crazy these days. So I said, I'm gonna go crazy with AI and just say, like, what would I look like if I was an absolute clown? Right? And this is the image that they're putting of black men all throughout the world. The clown image, the goofball idiot dumbass that wants to throw his wealth away, that doesn't care about his family, can't stand up for his community, ain't got a brain cell in his head, don't want to make any sort of constructive decision, no discipline whatsoever, putting his penis in every working vagina within a 100-mile radius, got child support out the ass, always struggling, always broke, addicted to everything, short-term gratification instead of long-term planning, no ability to be strategic, strong, capable, or at all. This is the image that they put out there of us, and this is what I would look like if I was connected to the culture. I'm not connected to that culture. That's not who I am. That's not who I'll ever be. And I'm gonna take this image down because I can't unsee it. It hurt my eyes to look at that. Lord Jesus, hey, this AI is killing everybody, man. It's killing everybody. But let's talk about this then. Let's have a real grown-up conversation about in all seriousness, let's get serious now. Let's have a grown-up conversation about this culture, this false culture. It's promoted by white people because they want you to stay stupid. They want you to stay behind. They want you to stay clownish. They don't want your men ever rising up, standing up, being prepared, being strong, being capable, being intelligent. They don't want that, right? Because then you become a threat to their establishment. Their goal is to make money from you. So the dumber they keep you, the more they can pull money out of you. And I hope I don't sound overly harsh when I say this. I get passionate about it because I've seen just so many amazing men in my life who could have been extraordinary, but they got distracted. There's a great documentary by my friend Speech from Arrested Development. He made that song, Tennessee, Tennessee. I gotta invite him to the convention. I gotta literally write that down. Speech needs to come to the convention. All right, so I'm literally writing that down because I want Speech to come to the ABNC, and I never invited him before, and I'm just embarrassed by that. But anyway, he made this documentary that everybody should watch. It's called The Nigga Factory, because what you don't understand is that culture manufactures niggas the same way Elon Musk manufactures Teslas. That's what they literally say. We're gonna take this little black boy that could have been anything. He could be president of the United States. He could become a lawyer. He could be an entrepreneur. He could be the billionaire that creates 100,000 jobs. And instead, we're gonna dumb him down and make him into a clown, and we're gonna turn him into a nigga. Right. And in fact, then we start participating in it. We start saying, oh, these the YNs and stuff like that. You know what the culture is. So but let's move past that though. Let's get to the financial side of this. Let me explain to you why this is so financially devastating. Now, before I do that though, what I want to do really quickly is I want to show, let's look at this video one more time. Some of you just came in, and I want to center our discussion, our economic discussion today, around what we saw in this video and why everything about this video speaks of strategic inadequacy, if you will. It speaks to significant a lack of training, brainwashing, serious incompetence, just clownery, stuff that makes other people laugh at you. So watch this video with me real quick, and especially for those of you that just got here. I want you to see this, and I'm going to give you some psychological financial theories to help you understand why this culture is so strong and why it's so devastating. So here you go.
To the rapper arrested after bragging about getting unemployment benefits, he's now charged with scamming the system after applying for more than $1 million in aid. Here's ABC's Megan Tavrezian.
This morning, a rapper who bragged about getting rich from defrauding the government has been arrested, accused of doing exactly that. Fontrell Antonio Baines, who goes by the stage name Nuke Bizzle, is accused of applying for more than $1.2 million in jobless claims intended for those impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. In a YouTube video titled EDD, posted on September 11th, Baines is holding stacks of envelopes from the Unemployment Development Department, bragging about getting rich. Another rapper boasting about going to the bank with a stack of these. Those envelopes, presumably debit cards for those filing for unemployment. You got the name and number, I got the edit. Baines' music video painting a remarkably similar picture to what federal prosecutors argue actually happened. Authorities saying the rapper used stolen identities to apply for jobless benefits.
We turn now to the rapper.
Okay. All right. So again, we know the simple lesson is if you ever commit a crime, don't go rap about it. And I know a lot of cops. My dad was a cop. And one thing that my dad said was that people that are loud and boastful are the easiest people for them to catch. He said basically also they're boastful when they another mistake a lot of men would make that would get them caught is he said they would fall in love with some lady, and they would tell I guess because they felt the need to confess their crime to someone else, they would in the midst of pillow talk share their secrets with this person. And as soon as the relationship fell apart, or as soon as she caught him with another woman, first thing she would do is obviously go to the police. Another thing I remember my father showing me, and this is important to understand, especially when you're talking about raising young warriors, young black men that are going to be strategic and intelligent, and women too, is he always told me to stay away from alcohol. Now, this is a man who drank a lot, and one thing that he said was that a lot of people would confess their crimes while they were drunk. He said drunks will tell all their secrets, and they'll tell all your secrets. So never tell your secrets to a drunk. Also, a lot of people get arrested. A lot of young black men get arrested and killed at nightclubs where there's alcohol everywhere. So one of the things that Gen Zers and Gen Alphas are doing that's very, very smart is studies are showing that they're staying away from alcohol. They are the least drinking generation, I think, in American history, and I'm very proud of them for that. Right. So as much as we've got the idiot stuff going on in the cult, the fake culture that's out here, the corporate created culture, you've got a lot of young people who are smart, who are learning from the mistakes of the prior generation. And so, I'm all for it. I'm here for it all because if you look at what things like alcohol does in terms of bad decision making, and bad outcomes, death, destruction, families breaking apart, stuff like that. Why do you need it? What do you need it for? And you're already black. That's already a strike against you in a competitive society. You know what it is. You know that they don't have any love for us. So you know that we have a target on our back from the time we're born. So if you have a target on your back and people are hunting you, why would you get drunk in the middle of the hunt? It's only going to make them easier to shoot you. They see you. Oh, right. You're not running. You're not strategic. You're not able to hide. You're not able to move. You're not able to fight back because you're a wino. You're a drunk. You're an alcoholic. And again, I'm not making fun of anybody that has a problem with alcohol. I'm just here to say, what do I have to do to give you the courage to fight against the culture? What do I have to say to help you be comfortable being who you are and not making decisions that don't make any sense for you? You're out here trying to win. You're trying to build. You're trying to be successful. Why in the world, and this is also super important for young people, why in the world would you follow the crowd when most of the crowd is broke? Most of the crowd is ignorant. Most of the crowd is going to go through a lot of pain in their life, a lot of pain, a lot of avoidable pain. And why would you follow that? Why do you want to be connected to that? So let's talk about the financial side of this in terms of this um desire to flash money. Like this, just whatever it is. Like, I gotta show off to everybody how much money I have. That's financially dangerous. You become a big target when you do that. Also, not just by the government, but by anybody that wants to rob you. We've talked about this in class before. But let me give you some psychological theories to help you understand why people do this in the first place. There's something called conspicuous consumption. And this research was done by Thorstein Veblen in 1899. And he basically said that it describes how people spend money on luxury items and to publicly display economic power and to elevate their social status. So I believe that you're going to think I'm a better person because I'm wearing a Gucci belt or because I'm wearing Louis Vuitton, stuff like that. And it's deeply tied to what they call signaling theory. Signaling theory is the way we send signals to each other of information that will lead to some sort of outcome, right? So signaling theory even pops up even when you go to the club. If am a man and I want all the ladies to see me, I'm gonna peacock a little bit. I'm showing my jewels and my chains and I'm the man and I want, right? And or women may signal, by wearing the tight little dress and looking at you across the room, things like that, right? So these signals are ways of showing off resources that make you appear higher in a social hierarchy. This is all psychological. Animals do this too. But the thing is, we can't always be animals. We have to be human beings. So the risk of this is that it can lead to overspending, where you're spending money to impress people who don't give a damn about you, spending money you ain't got, trying to do all this stuff. It can lead to debt. It can also make you financially fragile. And so this is about appearances and it's not about actual financial health. So it's not just a sucker's move for the person who's being flashy. It's also a sucker's move for the person who's attracted to the loud, flashy Negro. You pick that man because he's showing you how much money he has, and he spent all his money trying to impress you. He took you on a date and spent $400. He took you on a vacation, spent 5,000, and that impresses you. But what you're not thinking about is the fact that his excessive spending habits could be a significant indicator that he's going to have financial distress for the rest of his life, which means that you are going to be in the middle of that distress, in the middle of the debt, in the middle of the bad credit, in the middle of all the economic stress that's going to come when he loses that fancy job, and also your children are going to be in the middle of all that too. So rather than interpreting his excessive spending as a good financial signal, personally, I see that as a bad financial signal. You tell me, like Jermaine Dupree, that you spend $10,000 a week on stripper thongs. I'm going to be concerned about the fact that you put yourself in a very dangerous financial position due to the fact that you're going to have to maintain a really high income to be able to afford the lifestyle to which you become accustomed. You're used to wasting two, three, $4 million a year. So that means that you are at risk of what economists refer to as a black swan event, which means that you lose that job, you lose that record deal, you lose that NBA contract. You, sir, are fried. You are going to be fried chicken. When I wrote my book, Financial Lovemaking, when I was on the faculty of Syracuse, I interviewed lots of people about their relationships and money. And I talked to several women who married wealthy athletes, guys that had NFL contracts, guys that went to the NBA, men who had all kinds of money. And what happened was when the money stopped flowing, everything fell apart. One woman married a guy. She was gorgeous, was so pretty. She there was a guy that swept her off her feet when she was in college. He was a football star who he was so good that he literally went to the NFL after his junior year. He went to play for the Seahawks or the Cowboys or somebody, and he played for about half a season. And when they cut him after half a season, he was still young. He was still an All American. He knew for a fact that at some point it was only a matter of time that he would get signed to another NFL roster. So he sat at home, he was working out, and he was training, and the money was running out because he was spending money because he expected more money to come in the future. And but the problem was that they still had bills. So she ends up taking two jobs in order to pay the bills while he's sitting at home waiting for the NFL teams to call. And then what happens is they don't call. And when they didn't call, he didn't just lose his job, he lost his whole identity. His whole life, all he saw himself as was an athlete. His whole life, all he knew he could do was run up and down a white man's football field and catch a ball. He didn't see himself as anything other than an athlete. So it was beneath him to go get a job and be a regular hardworking man and bring home whatever he could. No, he waited at home for these teams to call, and the teams never called. So he got depressed. And when he got depressed, you know what happens when guys get depressed. You know what happens when they have plenty of free time. The idle mind is the devil's workshop. So he's sitting at home now, bored to death, getting on the phone with other women, drinking down the liquor, taking the drugs, and next thing you know, he starts beating her ass. Right? So she is literally a person who was promised a fairy tale and ends up in a nightmare. He's beating her up. There's no money coming in. She's working two or three jobs to take care of this poor guy who lost his whole world when the Seahawks never called him back. And then eventually she gets a divorce and has to go somewhere else and rebuild. So what I'm saying to you is that the flashy Negro is not the key to financial security. The flashy Negro is the clown. The flashy Negro is the one who is showing you the signal he's sending to you is that I have very expensive tastes, which means that I have to make a lot of money just to maintain the lifestyle that I'm presenting to the world, and that I care more about appearances than I care about my own financial health. And also, on top of that, and I'm going to go to some more theories here so we can really dig into this. On top of that, I might be revealing to you that I have some deep insecurities that are showing themselves by the fact that I don't have enough depth to present myself as a solid, quality, relevant human being. I have to just show you, you know, a Gucci bag, a Mercedes, and whatever, and that becomes my identity, right? So you got to be really careful about the flashy stuff. Doesn't mean you can't like nice things, but you got to ask yourself, what does this mean? Why do I feel the need to spend $500 on a pair of shoes? Why do I have to? Why do I need the most expensive car in the car lot? Why do I have to wear a ring on every finger and a bunch of jewels and chains? What am I? What signal am I sending that way? Okay, so let's keep going. There's another theory called relative deprivation theory. This is from Runciman in 1966. And he said people measure success by comparing themselves to peers. Keeping up with the Joneses is a very natural thing. So they see others with new cars or jewelry. When they see people with nice stuff, it makes them want to keep up. Like they see other people have things and they want to get that same stuff. And this happens even if you can't afford it. Flashiness is a way to kind of close that perceived gap. So the risk of this is that the comparison trap can lead to what they call chronic dissatisfaction. You ain't never happy with what you got because you always comparing what you got to what they got. And this is dangerous in the world of social media because a lot of people are on the internet pretending that they got stuff that they ain't really got, or they got it. But the reason he's a 25-year-old millionaire is because he's running a scam that's going to get him sent to prison, right? So ultimately, this chronic dissatisfaction can lead to a lot of financial mistakes, and people pretty much live beyond their means to show that they're not behind. And so the best way to deal with your finances, in my opinion, is to mind your own damn business. Focus on what you got, what makes you happy. Me and my wife, I imagine if we wanted to flex on our neighbors, we probably could, but I don't even care enough to do that. I don't flex on anybody. I don't want to get into a flexing contest. I just get things that are going to make me happy and make me comfortable in my life, and that's my point of comparison. So ultimately, that ability to be satisfied with what you have is that's a huge financial hack. See, a lot of people think that financial freedom means making plenty of money. You don't have to make a lot of money to be financially free. You just have to free yourself from believing that money or spending money is the only way for you to find happiness, peace, success, prosperity, or whatever. Most of you know what I found when I started making money? I've made some money. But let me tell you, I learned once I made money that money was only important to me because I didn't have any. Money was like a bathroom. When you have to pee, then all you can think about is the bathroom because that's literally the thing that you need. You have a craving that you had, or you're hungry, and all you can think about is food, right? But once you're balanced, once you sort of fulfill those basic needs, then at that point you're not thinking about food anymore. You're not thinking about going to the bathroom anymore. You don't go pee and then just hang out in the bathroom all day just because you're so happy to have access to a toilet. You don't do that, right? So money. What I found with money was that if you would have asked me what are the most valuable things in your life, most of those things that I value are actually free. Like I value getting up every day and having intelligent conversations with other smart black people like you and talking about things that are going to help us be smarter. That I love that. That's worth $1 billion to me. I value afternoon naps because I learned a long time ago from mental health science that naps make everything better. Whenever I'm having a bad day, my first reaction is to take a nap. Naps are like a drug for me. Like, people say I need a cigarette or I need a drink. I think I need to go take a nap. What else? I value um drinking lots of water, going to the gym, sweating, and getting on the treadmill and calling. I used to value calling my mother. Can't call her anymore, but I talk to her in heaven. I value um, being happy and at peace with my life. Things like that, right? And here's the thing, though, money is important in that process in the sense that money isn't going to typically give you the things that will make you happy, but money can certainly be a source of unhappiness because if you don't have enough money, then you have this really stinging unmet need that just eats away at your soul and distracts you from being able to focus on the things that are going to make you happy. Do you understand? Right? So if I know naps make me happy, a kiss from my wife makes me happy, talking to you makes me happy, but my financial needs have not been met. I got bills to pay that I can't deal with. Well, then I'm going to have to skip my nap and skip doing the things I love because I got to go out and find money. Do you understand? So the reason that disconnecting from money can be a source of financial freedom is what happens is that the when you have the financial need, a person who is flashy and balling all the time and spending money everywhere on everything and everybody and trying to impress people, they need this much money to even fulfill a basic need. Do you understand? Like they need to have a big fat bank account full. They can have 100,000 in the bank account just to survive and get by. A lot of NBA players go through that. They have so many fixed expenses that when you retire, the only way you can maintain even a fraction of your pre-existing lifestyle is if you find another job that's going to pay you $2 million a month. Ain't no jobs out there like that. Right. So a lot of them, that's why you would hear about sometimes NBA players that become drug dealers. That's a real thing. That's actually happened. And then there was one guy, he played for the University of Louisville. His name was Terrence Williams, I think. And they had a whole thing going on. Like it became like a scam fraud, something with medical stuff or whatever. You can look it up, and I'm not making fun of any of these people, but I can understand that maybe what happened was you're like, I don't know what job I can go get that's going to pay me several $100,000 a month to make all these car payments and pay for all these kids I had and pay for this house I have and these apartments I'm renting and my side chicks and everything else, right? So ultimately being very conscious about that, about financial commitments and how much you're pouring out to sort of maintain a lifestyle or an appearance is really, really important because it really can become a financial trap. So anyway, let me keep reading here about why people are flashy with money. There's another one called Self-Determination Theory by Deci and Ryan, 1985. And basically it says that when people lack inner fulfillment, when you ain't got nothing on the inside, then you're gonna get flashy on the outside. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me if you've seen this. People that don't really have fulfillment, that are not happy or don't have anything else going on, can't bring anything else to the table, they'll bring the superficial stuff to the table, right? Like you might have the woman who doesn't value herself and doesn't feel like she's worth anything other than the basic stuff. So she brings the basic stuff to the table and leads with the sex or her looks or whatever because she hasn't taken the time to do the inner work, right? Because you are an asset in your life. You're probably the most important asset in your life. And assets, the thing about assets is that assets only have value when they receive investment. If you have an asset, if I give you $1 billion company and you don't invest in that company, then that company is not going to be $1 billion company. It's going to become worthless. It'll probably go bankrupt. So the same thing is true with you as a human being. In order for you to have a healthy soul, you've got to feed your soul. In order for you to be intelligent, you've got to feed your mind. In order for you to be a good person, well, you've got to feed whatever is required for you to learn how to be a good person, how to be considerate, how to be empathetic, how to connect to other human beings, right? To have a good conversation, you have to pour into that, right? So you are your greatest investment, right? Investing in you is critically important. So what they find is that people who don't do that work, who are not encouraged to be thoughtful and decent and just worth something other than what you're wearing, they tend to go to the external stuff to compensate for these internal deficiencies that exist. And these internal deficiencies are quite broad, right? This happens all throughout the community. The trauma and everything else can lead us to have self-esteem problems. Maybe we don't feel like we're worthy. And I get that. So it says here that when people lack inner fulfillment, like competence, autonomy, or relatedness, they often seek external validation. So you need other people to tell you that you're worthy because you internally don't believe that you're worthy. You ever see that? You ever see somebody like that? And it's sad. It's very sad to me because what that leads to is you end up kind of chasing around other people trying to get them to see you because you've never truly seen yourself. We do that with white people all the time. Black people, many black people I know don't feel like they've ever accomplished anything or are worth anything until they've been validated by white people. This is a very dangerous thing because what people will do is they will sell you your self-esteem. They will say, you ain't nothing but a nigga. But here, if you buy this Gucci belt, then you'll be a fancy nigga. You ain't nothing but a black woman. But if you got this Coach purse, then give me a couple thousand and I'll make you into an important black woman, right? You're just a Negro in a black neighborhood, but if you give me $200,000 and come to my university, then I'm going to slap you with a label with a degree, and then you're going to be able to tell all your friends that you are important now. You started from the bottom, now you're here. Where is here? What does that mean? Right? No, you were worthy before you got all these labels, but that's kind of the trick. So basically, when people lack inner fulfillment, they often seek external validation. Flashy purchases are used to fill emotional voids or prove worth to others. So a great way to save money is not just to invest in the stock market. We've talked about that. Y'all know how to do that. An even better way, a bigger, better investment that you could make that's more valuable than buying Nvidia stock is to invest in you and your self-esteem so that when somebody comes and tries to sell you your self-esteem, you can say, no, thank you. I already have that. I already have that. I'm not going to feel any better about who I am because you sold me a $3,000 purse. Right? No, I don't need to drive a Lincoln Navigator 2025 or whatever in order for me to feel like I'm a worthy human being. I can drive the Toyota Corolla and I'll be just fine. I know I'm somebody, whether you think I'm somebody or not. You're not going to sell me my self esteem. I'm going to put that self esteem money into my 401k so I can build some generational wealth up in this bitch. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm cussing a lot today. I'm sorry. Let me stop. I done said the word nigga two, three times. I said, that's just bad. That's bad, boys. Stop it, boys. Okay. All right. I'm going to quit. All right. So my point is to say, though, at the end of the day, what you got to realize is like that self love. I am such a fan of self love because that I can, maybe I'm biased because that was my journey. That was everything for me. When I learned to really look in the mirror and look at Boyce and say, not only do I love you, I love everything that's right about you. I love everything that's wrong with you. And I also love you enough to invest in you. So the things that are wrong with you, I'm going to try to fix those things, but I'm going to love you the whole time. I'm always love you, but I want you, I want to give you more to love. Do you understand? So we're going to work on the flaws and we're going to also improve the things that are great about you. And then I'll have even more reason to love you. Do you understand? So I say that because when you have that, it kind of disconnects you from the need to make all these sacrifices to receive this acceptance and validation from other people. Let me give you an example that involves like relationships. I think of everything in terms of markets because I'm an economist. Dating is a market. It's a market, supply, demand, all those rules apply, volatility, everything that applies to a financial market applies to a dating market. Did you ever notice this? Some people will date. There was a guy who, oh, I wish I had this video. I gotta find it. There was a brother who asked, she was, it was one of those stupid balloon popping shows. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah, it was one of those crazy balloon popping shows. And this guy got rejected, right? And the girl said, well, I don't want to be with you because you're too short or something, right? But he had everything else going on, but he was too short, which is fine. That's her right to do that. But it was interesting because he asked her a really deep question. I think he said, are you looking for a red carpet relationship? Or are you looking for a relationship that's going to make you happy? And that was a deep question. It was much deeper than people think because what he's basically saying is, because think about, let's start here. Um, I've known a lot of people that have been married for a long time, and not once have I ever seen a person say, "Oh, we've been married for 15 years, and the reason we stay married is because he's tall." Have never seen that. I've never seen somebody say, like, "Oh yeah, well, but I'm gonna tell you that big booty of hers, that's what kept it going. If it wasn't for the booty, I would, really, I mean, all that stuff, what people look like. If you know what marriage is like, marriage is deep, 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 deep. You really have to do some work. It's so much bigger than just what someone looks like. Looks matter, but that's not the only thing that drives it. And so by him asking her, do you want a red carpet relationship or do you want a relationship that's going to make you happy? That same question could be asked about the job that you pick, how you spend money, everything. Because in my world, again, maybe I'm overinterpreting his remarks, but in my world, the red carpet relationship is the one that makes you look good and feel better about yourself because you're internalizing the attachment that you have to this other person. So you say, because I'm with a pretty girl, I'm now a more worthy man. Do you understand? Or because I'm dating a senator, I'm a more important woman. Do you see what I mean? Right? Right? So basically you have people that will do that. Tell me if you've seen this. Let me know if you get what I'm saying. I hope I'm not sounding crazy here. But you have people that will attach themselves to other people because they feel it elevates their status. Do you understand? Right? Like because I'm dating a pretty woman, now my friends see how pretty my girlfriend is. Therefore, I'm the man now because look at how good my wife looks or my girlfriend looks. Or same thing with women, and you'll see people pay a big price for that. You'll see a woman that's in a horrible relationship, getting abused, mistreated, everything else, but she wants to be able to tell her friends that she's married to a medical doctor or whatever, right? Whereas the other side of that to me is the red carpet relationship. The other type, which is I just want to be happy means I don't really care what anybody thinks about the person I picked. All that matters is what I think. Like, I don't need to pick a person because it's going to make me feel like I'm more worthy. I know that I'm worthy. I need to make sure you're worthy of me. Do you understand? Like, I'm not picking the person just because I like them. Sure, me liking them it definitely matters, but I'm really also going to make sure that they like me well enough to treat me in the way that I deserve to be treated. And if you think about this, look at the way young people pick jobs and careers versus the way older, more mature, more established people pick jobs and careers. Follow me now. Follow me. Pay attention. Let's go to the economics. A young person is not real clear about who they are. They haven't accomplished nothing yet, right? So they're trying to prove themselves. They're trying to show that they are somebody, right? So they're more likely to pick a job based on the prestige attached to that job, right? You give them a chance to go work in the White House, or you give them a chance to go work at a Google or a major company. They love bragging about whatever job title they have because it fulfills their self-esteem, and they get to say, "Look, mama, I made it. I'm so accomplished. I'm the vice president of sneakers at blah 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 corporation," right? But then here's what happens, right? So then you start get reality slaps you in the face, and you get a little older. You get a few accolades that fill up your ego, your self esteem, and then you start really looking at the job for what it's really doing to your life. You're like, okay, they're not paying me enough. They're treating me like a nigga. I'm there. I am doing it again. So just write this off. This is just me today. I'm sorry. I'm got to be honest here. They're not. They're stressing me out. I don't have time to spend with my kids. My quality of life is very low. And why am I doing it? What am I doing all this for? What? So I can tell everybody that I'm a vice president, right? So somebody who's used to being a vice president doesn't need that anymore. Do you understand? It's like when Magic Johnson got rejected from the Olympic team. He said something that I really liked. He said that's okay. He said I don't need the Olympic Committee to tell me that I'm a good basketball player. Like, I don't need that anymore. I needed that out of college, but I don't need it now. Do you understand? So I think the earlier that kids receive this, and they should really be getting it from you. We should be the ones giving the. We fill up their cup, so they're not paying other people to pee in their cup so it can feel more full. Right? That's what happens. The kid's cup is not full, so he's like, I'm a beggar because nobody filled my cup. Well, you fill my cup, and the white man's like, yeah, son, I'll pee in your cup, and then you'll have a fuller cup, and then you walk around feeling like you got this cup that's full, but you don't realize that it's full of pee and not lemonade. Right? So ultimately, what I'm saying to you is that when your cup isn't full, people will spend money. They will put themselves in bad situations like going to Diddy parties and stuff like that, or whatever, just so they can fill their cup, so they can feel like, hey, I'm a big shot. I'm hanging out with Diddy. Or look at me. I'm the vice president of blah blah blah. Doesn't matter that my company's racist. Doesn't matter that they mistreat me. Doesn't matter that I'm stressed out. Doesn't matter that my quality of life is very low. Doesn't matter that I sacrifice everything for a job. You'll sacrifice your family for a job, your marriage for a job, your happiness for a job, but you proud of that damn job. That is not healthy, people. That is not healthy. So this conspicuous consumption, having the void and spending extra money and trying to show off for other people, really, in my view, says one of the best things you can do for yourself is really have a healthy conversation with yourself and practice teaching yourself to truly love yourself. Because if you truly love yourself, then you won't have to pretend to be confident. You will be confident. You'll say, "Yeah, I'm messed up over here, but I can do this really well." That's what I'm hoping shows up in this conversation. Like I really did that work. Probably, I think I was probably about 35 or 36 when it started, and it was the best thing I ever did, best investment I ever made. And I made some good investments, but ain't no stock I've ever bought uh given a higher ROI, return on investment, than investing in the stock of Boyce. Okay. All right. Now, just before I move on to the last couple of things, I want to mention, don't forget to be invited to this class. Get on the text list. You can do that by texting the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to the phone number 87948. I will send you an invitation. We meet for money in the morning every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, and we talk about money, wealth, investing, whatever happens to be on my mind. And also, if you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is Dr. Boyce finance. And in case you didn't know, I do have a podcast on Spotify. So if you go to Spotify and look up my name, you can find me there. I'm kind of everywhere, I guess, kind of everywhere. All right. So here's a couple more theories that are really interesting. There's another one called social identity theory. It says here that people flaunt brands, expensive cars, or big houses to signal membership in a high status group. It's about building and maintaining a desired identity in the eyes of peers. I remember Al Sharpton, who tells the greatest stories ever. I remember when I would go to New York back in 2009 and sit with him in his radio show, and he was telling me a story. He didn't mention the name of the rapper, but he said I went to a rapper who was having financial problems, and he said I asked him, "Why do you spend so much money?" And the rapper basically said exactly what this theory says, that he had to do that in order to maintain his image in the culture. But this man behind the scenes was actually going broke, and this is quite common. That really trying to maintain in front for other people is very financially damning. It's very expensive, and it's very hard to do. And so the risk is that if you over-identify with material symbols, it can make you very vulnerable to loss. So financial problems come along, they don't just take the assets, they also take your status in society. So that's the last thing I want to sort of break down for you in hopes that you gain something from this conversation. And also, I've actually got to go to the bathroom. Like, speaking of needs, like, I really got to go. So I'm going to hurry up and end this because I actually got to run to the bathroom. See, we're talking about needs and stuff. But anyway, do me a favor. If you want to come to the convention, just go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. And if you want to get a copy of my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, you can go to drboycebooks.com. That's drboycebooks.com. So have a good day, everybody. I'm out of here.